Welcome back to Razmafzar TV. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic with Bede. Hi Bede, first of all, let me just greet Bede. How are you today?
I'm well, how are you?
Thank you very much. We are going to show some artifacts from the National Museum of Iran. In the past, we've shown some of the artifacts that today we're going to talk about and show some ancient Iranian artifacts, and then we go into very famous Achaemenid or Achaemenid period, which everyone in Iran, not only in Iran, loves this period. I think if you ask which empire, which era has the best reputation among Iranians, and everyone loves it, is Achaemenid period. Everyone just loves Achaemenid period. And
it's very popular overseas too. It's very popular overseas too because of the kind of that very clear Zoroastrian, we support the right, we're against the wrong. We support the truth, we're against the lie. This is very straightforward and easy to understand.
Yes.
And most people, I think, can form a resonance with that. Plus the fact the art is beautiful.
Yes, magnificent, absolutely.
I mean, you see it and you realize, and the other thing, it's so inclusive.
Yes,
you could be Egyptian, and I mean the Egyptians kept revolting, but there were local reasons for that due to the formation of elites within the Delta and that who weren't actually Egyptian, they were Libyan descended, but there were people revolting all over the place, but eventually things always went back to normal. But if you were an Arachosian from the east, or you were from the mountains, or you were from Media, you're from Parsa, you're from Elam, everybody could get a job in the government.
Yes. If
they had skills. You could rise up. Nobody could rise higher than the royal family, but you could rise very high in the administration.
Yes.
There's a section in the Bible about Jewish ministers in the Persian court rising high.
Yes.
And the thing that always tickles my heart, the fact that when Themistocles, the great Athenian general who was responsible in some degree for the success of the Battle of Salamis, when he was on the outer in Athens and the Athenians chose to exile him, which was a simple process. They just had a vote on it. It was the great king who gave him an estate and an income and put him up for the rest of his life. And I thought, it's not the kind of thing you generally get from your enemies.
Yes, that's true.
It was probably thought out as a way of letting the Greeks know that, we know you're fighting us now, but things could change and we'll help you out. Actually, they're always helping out the Spartans with money, but we won't go into that.
Yes. So let us just go, and then today we are not going to talk. We are going later on to talk about weapons from Luristan. We will show it also from Marlik and North. We are going to exclude these bronze items. We are going to talk about Jiroft, what Professor Majid-Zadeh excavated, which put this older than Mesopotamian culture. So we are going to show some of them and some from ancient. Then we go directly into Achaemenid period. And we will come back to ancient Iran later on again. Then we are going to talk about Parthians in sequels and also Sasanians and Islamic period from this museum. So let me just go and share this with you. This is a very, let me see where it is. Yes, exactly. So we are going to discuss them today. Okay, let me see where it is. Yes, it is here. And okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you can see that bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to see about Jiroft, and these are excavated scientific excavations. These bowls, which we see, look how beautiful they are, Bede.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Look at the intricate design. Look at this.
How old are these? Because I
These are,
think
look
that's
at
going
these,
to
2000, these ones are 2600 to 2400 BCE.
right.
So,
So they're 4,500 years old.
yes, amazing, isn't it? These ones.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
It's yeah.
Incredible. You know, this is unbelievable. It's really unbelievable when you think about that. And, you know,
Yep.
Jiroft Kerman. So these are all, I think, yes, they are by Professor Majid Zadeh. And look at this one. For example, unbelievable. You know, if you come here and take a look at them, these are different stone weights, stone bowls.
Yeah, when I saw that shape, I thought immediately this is some kind of thing for weighing stuff, that you
Yes.
have a beam balance, and this is a
Yes.
mandated weight. This is exactly so many shekels or whatever the weighing system they were using.
Unbelievable.
So think about how old that is, and that shape lasted well into the I think Parthian era. I think that lasted for thousands of years because it's so logical. You have the handle to carry it around to put it on the scale or the balance, whatever system you had.
Yes.
But once you've developed it, I mean, I've seen ones where they're animals with a handle on the back and things like that from much later periods. But this has got a kind of strong design in the surface decoration as well.
Yes, this one, if you come back, stone weight is, yeah, this is really, yeah, also 2,600 to 2,400. Yeah, Jiroft Kerman. And if look at this, look at the design here, Pete.
Oh, that's really, really good.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
If that was printed on a fabric, you could sell it in the store today.
Yes, exactly. Unbelievable.
No, it's really, I mean, the repetition, it looks architectural, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it looks like they're doorways or windows, and it's representing a building or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe even with curtains hanging across the doorways or at the top of the door. I mean, you know, look, I'm looking at a photograph. I haven't seen this in person, so I don't really know. I mean, up close, it might have a completely different look. That
when you enter Jiroft Hall in National Museum of Iran, your heart stops when you see these things close. They're quite also big, right? Really unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the problem I have with photographs, is that it's very difficult to judge scale.
Yes. Yes.
Unless it's written there. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work. I remember going to an exhibition and I had the catalogue. It had a picture of a dagger in it. And they said, and they gave you the dimensions of the dagger. I'd seen the picture. For some reason, I thought it was that big, but it was actually, you know, that big. More of the size of a karma than it was the size of a little card or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, another weight?
Yes. This one is not as intricate as this one, right?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, you had the high status one. You might be looking like this in this city. The central weights and measures are in a temple or something, and you go and weigh yours against them to use in the marketplace for weighing grain or something like that. Yes. And almost certainly in the Middle East, there would be some official who would go to the marketplace randomly and check to make sure nobody had been shaving off things on the weight to make it look as though they were selling more stuff than they really were. Because as soon as you have a standard system of measurement, somebody works out a way to cheat it.
Yeah, this is that one as well.
Oh yeah.
Bede, look at the design of this animal. I don't know if it's a
Oh,
bull. Look at this.
oh yeah.
Look.
Yeah, this is it. That we it doesn't matter how far you go back in history, there were artists
Yes, they are.
who could capture something, whether it was stylized or realistic or whatever. I mean, you only have to think of cave paintings in Europe, or well, cave paintings in Australia too. We've got them as old, and they really capture something, because that's another human being looking at the world the way we look at it, but seeing it differently. When I said the way we look at it might be too general, but yeah, that people are really grasping. Oh, that's beautiful.
Look at the flower design. You know
That
what
flower.
is striking? Bede, these flower designs with the petals, you've seen the same flowers sometimes in the floral design on the background on later Islamic period.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, I mean, there's real flowers that
Yeah.
inspire people to make stylized flowers, and quite often you can reinvent the same stylization. But sometimes it's just logical. I have got leather stamps for doing embossing in leather that have a pattern really similar. 6-petal flowers are really a popular pattern. Even if you don't have 6-petal flowers, it's just for some reason the human mind really likes it. Like the snowflake thing with the 6 branches. This is the same kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
But see how they've slightly staggered the rows so that it doesn't make a checkerboard pattern or anything. It's kind of more naturalistic, because they're just slightly out of sync. But of course, everything is hand carved one at a time, so that could be the nature of the carving. But it does produce a really good effect.
I'm sure if you make a reproduction of it, it will sell well. It looks so beautiful.
No, it does. See, this is the thing. Good design will always find somebody to appreciate it. There are fashions where bad design is fashionable because it's a reaction against years of good design. I mean, people just want something new, and it doesn't matter how bad it is. That's what they'll live with. But that stuff never lasts. This kind of stuff lasts. And I mean, I've seen metal bowls made with similar kinds of patterns, not in size, but embossed and that. So it obviously attracts people.
I should have made a close-up of this one, but look at this. You see holding like 2 animals. You see it also in later civilization, the same thing.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Obviously, people at the beginning of civilization were living a lot closer to nature because, they hadn't started building really big walls yet to keep it all out. But there's a delight. Some civilizations have a real delight in nature. And I mean, the whole kind of, Mesopotamia was famous for gardens, walled gardens.
Yes.
And the actual word we use in English for them, which is paradise, ultimately derives from an old Persian word through Greek.
Yes.
And
in Persian, we call it paradis. Paradis, which is paradise in English, for example.
Yeah, and I mean, the concept of the beautiful garden surrounded by flowers and fruit trees and running water, very important. That really works for everybody. Everybody can. I mean, I have read. I think it was Bambari in the 19th century, traveling in Turkey, Iran, and Afghanistan, I think, and complaining that the gardens there, people would just go in and sit down and just enjoy looking at the garden. Whereas he said the proper thing to do, like we Europeans do, bearing in mind he was Hungarian, so he may have been very close to high German culture because of the interchange between Hungary and the Holy Roman Empire. We set out lawns so you can go for brisk walks to keep fit. And these lazy people are just sitting around enjoying the garden. Sorry, I'm one of the guys that wants to sit around and enjoy the garden. I like going for walks, but I like stopping and looking at the flowers and the trees and the animals. So I think I've got, I think modern sensibility is closer to this than it is to what was going on in the 18th and 19th centuries in Europe, for instance.
Now we have a different picture. We saw them close, but now from top.
And you can see into the bowls, which gives you an idea of just how precisely they're made.
Unbelievable.
So are these all stone, or are some of them
bronze
pottery?
as well? Let me just go back. Let's see some of them stone. Here, look at that. Stone bowl, stone jar, stone and stone vessels, but we come to the bronze ones as well.
Okay, so this is stair type, which is relatively easy to carve, which is a good thing for this kind of artistic purpose, but also something that you could break easily if you were not careful. So it would have to be looked after. The fact that it's lasted for 2,500 years is very impressive.
Here you see that they are written bead materials here. Stone.
Yeah, no, that's good. Excellent.
So here we see, look at this one, Bede. This one is really interesting. Beautiful.
So is that like a lid with a handle on it that you put on a bowl?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it almost looks like a wine cup or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a lid. Because it's otherwise, a bull.
Yes, this is not from Jiroft. We can later on, if you guys want, I can put more about Jiroft. This is also these are all excavated, guys. Scientific excavations. These are not bought in an auction house, which makes them very interesting, right? To look at them, right?
Provenance. We know exactly where they came from and exactly when they were made, given, like within 100 years or whatever.
Yes.
So that what culture is this from?
Elamite. This is a Elamite, and it has an inscription, as you can see that, which says Elamite king Unlashgal from what is that northeastern entrance of Dalar Ula Ziggurat. So this is you see that this was here. Look at the hat when they excavated it, and then the body. So they put them together. They restored it. I mean, they are very good restorers.
But because there's a lot of quite substantial ziggurats that were built in the Elamite period in Elam.
Yes. Bede, when you stand in front of it, you'll come here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Not that you think this is like a cow or a bull.
And it's like a Brahmin bull with a hump on the neck as well. Yeah. Which means they were that far west that early.
Yeah.
Those cattle.
I mean, I was spending I don't know how long, half an hour just watching this. I cannot explain this to you. It is so fascinating. I cannot explain it to you.
Yeah, I think that there was this. Bulls have been, important in lots of cultures. And there's something about a sculpture of a bull or even a bas relief or something like that, where bulls in life are in motion and you never get to see them frozen, like in a sculpture, for instance. Yes. And you get to examine them really closely if the sculpture is as good as this. I mean, but you think of Minoans with their paintings of bulls on the walls and the famous bull head. Egyptians, they loved them too.
And it has inscriptions. The inscriptions are written here in Persian and also in English, which says Uktashgal, the son of Humian. And then they said that, it goes on and on. It says that he had a bull, a male, of course, bull, made of a special clay, and no one has done this way before him, right? So this is this bull. And look at the pattern on this of his body. It's beautiful, isn't it?
This is the Elamites were technically very advanced. they lived in southwestern Iran. And we've got to remember, when these things were being made, the Persian Gulf went much further up the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
Yes.
Where the Persian Gulf ends now is because of tons and tons of soil being carried down from the mountains over thousands of years.
Yes.
And so a lot of these cities that are inland cities now would have been on the seacoast or near the seacoast.
Yes.
But the Elamites, I know that they were incredible bronze casters, because some of the largest cast bronzes in the Middle East were done in Elam. I think there's a famous queen statue that they found. They're also very good at taking things home from other places. So the famous column with the laws of Hammurabi of Babylon was taken back to Susa by the Elamites. And it wasn't found until, I think, the 20th century, or maybe late 19th century. Because people, when they conquered other cities, they used to take monuments home with them, not just the gold and the silver and the jewels, but they would take statues, and in this case, a stela. And in the case of like Babylon, several times they took home the statue of Marduk, the supreme god of Babylon, and he was supposed to be able to inhabit the statue. So they're effectively taking the god back to Susa with them, which would have been very disturbing to everyone. This is one of the things Cyrus was famous for returning the gods to the cities, because Nabonidus and his, I think his father was Nebuchadnezzar II, when they set up the Neo-Babylonian Empire after the fall of the Assyrians, they took a lot of the god statues from the various cities in Mesopotamia and brought them together in Babylon. So when Cyrus conquered Babylon, he sent all the statues home. He also sent the Jews with, I think, whatever was left of what was stolen from the temple by Nebuchadnezzar was sent back to Judah to rebuild the temple and all that kind of stuff. So there's, I mean, there's traces of these things in historical writings that are still read now, in things like the Bible, in Herodotus, in which is sometimes accurate and sometimes not. Herodotus is an interesting writer, but what we've got to assume is just how important these objects were to the people that made them.
Yes.
They weren't just works of art. They embodied something about the spirit of the nation. Or, well, these temple complexes, the ziggurats, they had massive staffs, they owned land, they had huge economic importance in the city-states where they were.
One thing which is also very interesting, I just realized it now. Back then, I didn't look at it. Look at this. Under the belly, it has a support. I think because the restorers are afraid because of the body weight.
Oh, yeah. Well, the first thing I looked at when I saw it was the really advanced part of this. It's not that he's the first one to make it out of clay. It's he's the first one to make it freestanding out of clay, where it didn't lean against a tree or something to, you know, like Greek statues where you see somebody's leaning against a tree. That's not because they like trees. It's because the statue would fall over otherwise.
Yes.
And I mean, when occasionally they made amazing statues that didn't have any supports and showed motion and that, people really appreciated that. To make a, well, I assume terracotta, once the clay is fired, it's terracotta. To make a terracotta bull that stood on its four legs. Because how strong do they have to be? They may have had an armature inside them or something to stop them from cracking or breaking.
Bede, look at it. Eyes, horns, ears, everything looks so natural.
I'm looking at the neck because we have Brahmins in Australia. They were introduced quite a few years ago because in the northern part of Australia, very tropical, ordinary cattle don't do as well. They like cooler temperatures. So they introduced Brahmins, and Brahmins absolutely love that. And so we see pictures like of cattle that look somewhat like this on television, when they're doing roundups in the Northern Territory or something, and they've got a special about it. And at that level, this is so lifelike. The other thing too is that the cows are a bit rangy, but the bulls are all muscled up.
Yeah.
And this has got that musculature about it, like it's gonna.
It does. It does. It reminds me of one of those. Okay, it's not very politically correct, but it reminds me of one of those bulls fighting bulls in an arena in Spain, in bullfighting arena in some part
Yeah.
of Spain.
Yeah,
Right.
well, they're again bred for this toughness,
Yes.
and over 1,000 years or more.
Yes.
But this one, this is the natural bull. This is the bull as he kind of exists in nature. The Brahmin, I might be wrong about this. I'm relying on my memory, and I am old, so I can forget things. But if I remember correctly, cattle were domesticated twice, once in India and once somewhere else, like the Middle East or like the Danube Basin or somewhere like that. And maybe Anatolia, I don't know. I can't remember. But because the breed that led to modern European style cattle, which are also the same as Middle Eastern cattle now, except for this type, their genetics go back to the aurochs, which was the wild cattle of Northern Europe. Whereas the Brahmin cattle, I think, and I'm not a biologist, I'm just remembering things I read, they're genetically all related to each other, not to the other cattle. I think water buffalo are in the aurochs family, and I think I don't know whether these are related to the gaur in India or not. I don't think they are, but they might be.
Yeah.
But these, like two different domestications of cattle. I think there might be two of cats as well. I think they were domesticated twice in different places.
Bede, another one is a clay human bust from Shahdad in Kerman province in Iran. Is Middle Bronze Age, 2,500 to 1,800, also excavated. Look at this one.
Oh,
it's unbelievable, huh?
If you saw that in an art gallery today, you would think it was made last week.
Yeah.
It's really.
I love this one as well. I chose some of the most striking because I have like thousands of pictures, but we can talk about them on this channel a bit because through our discussions, we come up with many interesting ideas, right? So the first session of the series, I just picked up those things I really love, right? And this one belongs, I don't know, Pete. And it's huge. This one is also huge. When you stand up in front of it, it's like it's transmitting some power to you. Look, I'm not superstitious, but there is something about this bust.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, humans react to human representations because we're talking. I'm looking at an electronic picture of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the real you, but I react as though it was a real person.
Yeah.
And when you make sculptures like this, I mean, it just has a certain power to it.
Look at the facial features. Look at the face.
And when you think about how old it is,
yeah.
I mean, there's such a range of things people were doing. And until archaeologists go out and dig them up, we don't know they're there. Yeah. This was under the ground for thousands of years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absolutely striking.
And now we go to Khuzestan and Susa.
Yeah.
This is going 3,200, 3,100, again, excavated pieces. So you see that these are very, very interesting, as we can say, tablets, and there are also inscriptions. They're all deciphered by Iranian experts there.
Is this proto-Elamite or regular Elamite?
Yes, exactly. These are Elamite period, proto-Elamite, exactly.
Because the thing that's important about Elam is that they developed a pre-cuneiform script, which was a logographic script, little drawings and stuff on clay, at the same time as it was developed in Sumer. so that they were well on their way to developing all their own scripts. And then they got conquered by the Akkadians, who superimposed cuneiform on them, but they didn't change their language. The cuneiform used in Elam originally was written in Akkadian, but the Elamites kept speaking Elamite, and then gradually they adapted cuneiform to write Elamite, which is, well, see, cuneiform was invented to write Sumerian, which was, if I'm correct, a monosyllabic agglutinative language.
Mm.
And then the Akkadians adapted it to write Akkadian, which was an East Semitic language, of which there are no survivors. All the Semitic languages today are West Semitic languages, I think. Oh, no, South. There's South Semitic languages in the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula. But as a Semitic language, they had a system of roots and things. It really wasn't well adapted to cuneiform, plus the fact that scribes love to play with different ways of spelling the same word, which made life very difficult unless you were trained.
Look at this, Bede. Look at this. Excuse me, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, well, I'm looking at these things too. I'm finding them really intriguing. The Elamites simplified cuneiform to a syllabary only. I mean, they had a few logograms, but it was mainly it, and adapted to their language, which is a totally unique language as well, which meant that it's the weirdest thing is the three cuneiform languages first deciphered first was Old Persian, because they could compare it to the Avestan texts, and not that it was written the same, but the word structure was the same and they could work out things. Once they'd worked out Old Persian, they had a text with a parallel text in another language, which there were two, Elamite and Babylonian. Now, Babylonian is really important because there's hundreds of thousands of texts surviving from Babylon and Assyria. Elamite doesn't have as many, but for the size of the country, it has quite a lot. And but they deciphered Babylonian and Elamite at the same time, though Elamite is a much more difficult language to decipher because Babylonian was Semitic. You could say, well, it's a bit like Aramaic, a bit like Hebrew, a bit like Arabic, not very much, but a bit. Elamite's nothing like it. There's nothing in the world like Elamite. So it's really quite wonderful when they find that.
Again, all the inscriptions are deciphered, and the museum offers you translations in English and also in Persian.
Yeah, this is a thing. Sometimes you see it. Well, you and I look at things about swords, and you'll see a picture of a Persian sword, and there's an inscription on the blade, and nobody translates it. And you go, "What? You really like this sword? Why don't you go to the trouble of getting someone to translate?"
I mean, exactly. I really don't understand. You know, there are some publications that talk about everything on the sword, but not the inscriptions. I said, this is unbelievable. Inscriptions is very important, right?
Exactly. I had a friend who collected swords and daggers and other things, and he always wanted to know what the inscription said.
Yeah.
And he would find people that could translate for him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I totally agree with that. I think a long time ago when you did the book on Arms and Armor of Iran, when we were talking about it, I sent you a photograph of some inscriptions on a sword of mine. And I was trying to work out whether I was on the right track trying to translate it, and you just read it straight off and said, yeah, this is a set phrase, this means this means that.
Yes.
And to me, that tripled the value of the sword because it had a historic context.
Yes,
and it's not just like finding a date on something, but it's, you know, the names of people or the expressions. Like there were particular expressions that were popular in Iran after the beginning of the Safavid dynasty that aren't that common elsewhere. And you can almost certainly, when you see a blade that's got an inscription in that format, say, Because I mean, you can have a Turkish sword with a Persian inscription, but not necessarily in that format.
Yes.
And so I love museums where they translate the artifacts. I think it's the best thing to do.
Yes. Okay, we go to now Tepe Chogha, Chogamish in Khuzestan, Susa second
Oh,
period.
yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
Yes, 3,200, 3,100.
Mm.
Simple stuff, but very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Take a look at them, please.
Got to think about how long ago this was.
Unbelievable.
And they were making things that are recognizable for their I mean, there's little drinking cups that are narrow base, broad lip, so that you get that freshness of the water or whatever you're drinking.
In the permanent exhibitions, there are hundreds of them. But if you go down, for weapons that went down, and in the inventory, what they have in the stock, they have many more, thousands of objects. It's unbelievable how much this museum has. Then we have also Saqqez. Now we go to the Kurdistan of Iran, Kurdish part of Iran, the province Kurdistan in Iran, and this is 8 to 7 centuries, right? Look at this.
Oh,
gold.
Yeah, and a pectoral to be worn on your chest, around your neck.
So it's golden plague, Ziviye, Saqqez, as we say in Persian, Kurdistan, Mana period.
Yeah, I see where, because this is a famous piece.
Yes, it is very famous.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it?
This is, yeah, so it's embossed and chased, and all those things that jewelers still do.
Yes.
People still know how to do it. So, but that also means people know how hard it is to do it.
How did they carry this?
I'm guessing that there were 2 cords that tied behind the back of your neck, and it sat over the front of your chest.
Yes.
And this is just to show how important you really are. In Egypt, they made beads and talismans and all this kind of stuff. And I think there might be something similar from the royal tombs at Ur, though that's just a vague memory. But
now it gets closer.
This is the king or the queen, or the high priest or the high priestess, whoever this belonged to. You wear this, somebody from the other side of the town square can see you and know you're really important.
Because, look at this. Are they winged animals? Yes, they are. Look.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a strong connection between motifs used in Mesopotamia and motifs used in the mountains. Because remember, Babylon was ruled for centuries by a group of people called the Kassites, who just came out of the mountains of Iran and conquered Babylon. We don't know what language they spoke. Their names are really long and very hard to follow. But there were strong cultures all the way along the mountainous areas in Western Iran. And
if we look at them, Bede, look at this and winged animals.
Mm-hmm.
This is the body like a horse, I don't know, winged, and then like a beak is like a parrot's hat or like a bird's hat.
Oh yeah, these are griffins.
Ah, it's a griffin, yeah. And if you take a look at this one looks like a goat or a bull. I don't know. But you see that each one of them looks different. That's interesting. Each animal looks different. Each one.
Oh, they may be representing different kinds of spiritual powers too. You know, like in theological structures, you have angels and things like this. Well, they're all different grades. And in these time periods, this is when all these ideas were being thought up for the first time, or being expressed for the first time in metal or in sculpture or whatever. So you see in Assyrian sculptures, you can isolate winged bulls, lamassu, who were winged human-headed bulls. So these were guardians, and they put statues of them on either side of the gates into the palaces. They kept using them in Achaemenid times, And
Look
the
at this
ones,
one, Bede. This one has a
yeah,
human head and the animal
yeah,
body and wings.
yeah. See, this is expressing the, well, the magical or supernatural nature of the creatures. So this probably, aside from being decorative, had a protective or atropateic purpose to protect the wearer from evil spirits or whatever.
Mhm.
Oh, here we go.
We go to Achaemenid period, Achaemenian. The first one, if you take a look at that, from the west wing of North Staircase Apadana in Persepolis, and this is which one? Showing a man carrying an elephant tusk, so ivory. Look at
Yeah,
this.
yeah, that's
Yeah, go ahead,
oops.
please.
Yeah, I know. I because of my computer problems today, I'm looking at this on my phone screen, so it's really quite small. So if I suddenly gonna
No
that's
problem.
but yeah, so he's so this is a tribute bearer in the New Year's festivities at Persepolis.
Yeah.
All of the different provinces sent emissaries with
Yes.
symbolic tribute. I mean, they paid real tribute. I mean, the empire ran on tribute, but they also, in this ceremony to celebrate the Persian New Year, they would bring representative items, or they would carry out into the area where this is enacted representative items. So it could be an elephant's tusk, and there were still elephants in, I think, Syria up until, oh, actually, probably not then. Up until I think it was the time of the Middle Assyrian kings. I'm not quite sure, but obviously you could get elephants from India or you could get elephants from Africa. So both places could provide you with ivory.
Yeah.
But yeah, these sculptures are amazing.
Amazing. And then we can go then again, and we see Achaemenian soldiers with an
Yeah,
Akinakes, and these
yeah,
hammer axe. I
yeah.
love these Achaemenid hammer axes with the blade. And also look at this. Always they show the same pattern.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that this type of weapon lasted well into the 17th century, and there were actually Polish walking sticks that were built like that.
Really? I never seen that.
Yeah, Nadjak or something like that. So noblemen would use these as walking sticks, not because they were infirm, but to be elegant. And I'm pretty certain I saw in a book on Polish swordsmanship that when they had duels, if they had duels with sabers, you'd end up with a cut. Your hand might get cut off, your ear might get cut off, your nose might get split, but you'd survive. When they fought with these, people died
Yeah, of course.
because they would just smash the ribs, or if they used the sharp end, they were going deep. I remember when a Siberian exhibition on early Scythian peoples came to Sydney decades ago. There was the skull of a man with a four-sided hole in it, and to demonstrate, they had one of these axes, and they just lined it up and put it in the hole, and so the skull is here, the axe is there, just to show you that this is what really happened, because the Scythians loved these as well. This is one of the things in Persian culture of this period that shows strong Scythian influence, as does the Akanakis. Because remember, and you may have illustrations of this, when people are wearing the long wide sleeve robes, they often have a different dagger in their belt rather than in a scabbard hanging from the belt. Because the interesting thing about the Akinakis is these ones always show a little strap at the bottom of the scabbard that goes around the leg to stop the scabbard flapping around. Like
Here, here.
like a cowboy's holster.
Yes, it is. And then there
And
is that
this,
one which they put in front of the
yeah, which
barrel.
which has a kind of broad thing on the scabbard to stop it from sliding out, which is really similar to the way an Indonesian keris is made.
Absolutely.
The scabbard of that also has that, so you can stick it in
Very.
your front or the back or wherever you want to have it.
Yes.
So there's such a long time between the two things that they didn't influence each other. They're the same solution to the same problem. You don't want your dagger slipping out of your belt. I mean, later on, they used to put little strings on dagger scabbards so you could put it in your sash and then tie the string at the bottom so it wouldn't fall through.
And here we see apple bearers, the spear butt, which looks like an apple. Look at this. Yes.
Yeah. That's like that two big differences in spear butts. The ones with spikes, like, oh, wait a minute. I think I've still got it on the table here somewhere. I should really clean up. Like this one.
Yes.
Where they're meant to go in the ground and stand up.
Yes.
Or if the point breaks off, you can use the other end to jab. Or that one where they're clearly meant for parade. Because see how is he resting it on his foot or is he resting it on the ground? I can't see.
One is on the ground and one is resting it on his foot. Sorry. Both are on feet. Yes, that's true.
Because that round bottom's good for that. But the other thing is, it's also kind of like a mini mace if it's metal.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Yeah, so that you could whack somebody really hard. Oh.
This is it's an animal. I don't know. What is this? And now look at this one. Is in Kune Persian, Old Persian, where he writes from Darius, I am Darius, the great king, the king of kings, the king of all countries, the son of Hystaspes and the Achaemenid. This is such a beautiful, beautiful one.
Yeah, because in Persepolis, they excavated some of the buildings, and when they lifted the stones up and the corners of some buildings, there was a little hollow place in there, and there'd be a solid gold tablet,
yes,
or a solid silver tablet with this on it. And I remember as a I think late teenager, I learned the script, and there'd be photographs in books, and then you try and work out what it said, because the one thing I've got to hand to the Achaemenids, they invented the word separator.
Yes.
So everybody else wrote continuously. The ancient Greeks, there were no spaces between words. It was all one long line of letters. But the old Persians decided that's too much trouble. And they had this little diagonal stroke to tell you you've got to the end of the word.
And look what they say. The Darius here says here, these are the number 3 building materials of this palace: gold, silver, lapis lazuli, turquoise, cornelian, cedar wood, wood from Makan, ebony, ivory, and the decoration of the reliefs, all columns were made of stone. And then he says from where they brought building materials. Look at this: Persia, Elam, Media, Babylonia, Assyria, Arabia, Egypt, the countries of the sea, possibly he means the Greeks overseas, Lydia, the Ionian Greeks, Armenia, Cappadocia, Parthia. I mean, it goes on and on. Unbelievable. Bactria, Crassia, Sophia. Yeah.
Everyone gets a mention. Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it? It's really beautiful.
As I say, I mean, my pronunciation is terrible. I think it's in Old Persian, it's Adam Daria Vush Vazkra Hashayathia Hashayathian.
Yes.
But this is the first of the cuneiform scripts ever to be deciphered in the West.
Yes.
Because when cuneiform died out in the 200s or so CE, everybody forgot how to read it. And when they rediscovered it I think it was in the 18th century, they first found traces and got it back to Europe.
Yes.
And when I say they rediscovered it, I'm pretty certain that if you look through not old Persian, but old Persian books in New Persian, you probably find some references to it as well. Because even the Arabs in Egypt, I think it was in the time of the Fatimid caliphs, they tried to decipher hieroglyphs. So people have always been interested in this stuff.
Yes, always.
It's just that luck and and the coincidence of brilliant people. I mean, with cuneiform, there were several brilliant people solving at the same time, including Grotefend in Germany, who worked out the basic things. He wasn't 100% right, but he was very close. And Rawlinson, who got a copy of the Bastan inscription. But these ones, because they were very specific, were really useful because they mentioned all the different places you could get stuff from and what it was famous for.
Yes.
I mean, it's like getting a kind of a travel book saying, oh, if you go to this place, you'll see such and such, and the pottery is beautiful. You go there and the glasswork, you know, go to Venice and go to the glassworks or whatever. This is almost equivalent, except it's saying, look what I built. Because the kings were very proud of what they built. Everybody who built big structures, whether they're Persian or Assyrian or whatever.
This one you will like it. Glazed bricks with lotus motifs, Nilufar, in the center of Palace of Apadana, 510 BCE. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. See,
again, this flower you see in floral design later in Islamic period often.
Oh, yeah, because the patterns don't die out. And the thing is, too, because they're glazed bricks, they preserve the color. If you see the bas reliefs at Persepolis, they're all stone, but they're all painted.
Yeah, they were painted. Yeah, of course.
Just
they
like Greek statues were all painted.
Yes, they were painted.
But with glazed bricks, which have been fired, and the color is preserved perfectly.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so inventive in the construction of the patterns. Yet the patterns are so regular. And I mean, some people say this, I don't know if it's true, but it occurs to me, this is like the way that people design fabric or carpets, where you have repeated motifs, you know, next to each other or above each other or going down or whatever. It's not just, you know, that's the famous Darius statue that was carved in Egypt and taken to Persepolis as a gift.
As a gift.
And
it's huge, Bede. This is huge. This is really huge. All right.
It's a shame we haven't got all of it, because it would have been really impressive. Even more impressive. Let's put it this way. Yeah, I remember. And he's got that sword, what we were talking about, the one that's stuck in your belt.
Yes, the other version. Yes, the other version.
Yeah.
We're going to see it closer. And look at this. Here around that, you see that on the base? This is written in Egyptian hieroglyphs because it was a present. And look at this. Okay, it's in Persian, in Neo-Persian, and also in English translations. They say, India, Makkah, Nubia, Libya, Egypt, Arabia, Assyria. You see that all of them are here.
Yeah.
Pars, Media, Elam, Herat, and Parthia. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think the person who wrote this or dedicated it was a high official who originally worked for the last pharaoh before the Persian conquest, and then changed sides and worked for the Persians because, you know, he's an administrator. He wanted to keep his job, but he apparently was very good.
So you see that here is on the right side, this one, and this one is on the left side. So you can see them. Beautiful, huh?
Yeah, and it just goes to show how Egyptian craftsmen could carve something in the Persian style perfectly.
But Bede, now I just realized, I didn't, back in the museum, I didn't realize that. But, they put the places where they came from. You see that? Unbelievable. Yeah. We can relate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, they love lists. They love lists of people and lists of places. I suppose if you've conquered such a big empire, then it really starts to kind of come home to you that look at all these places. And the thing is, all the places they conquered, they left them speaking their own language, practicing their own religion. and largely the economy was left alone. Instead of paying tribute to the local king, they paid tribute to the great king.
Yes.
So, I mean, the tribute had to travel farther, but I mean, nobody was that much worse off
Yes.
in terms of the amount of tribute. I mean, some of the tributes today would be unconscionable. The Babylonian one's particularly nasty, but that was the thing that used to go on back then. I don't want to get into it. I think
I
you know
mean,
what I'm
today
talking
we
about.
also pay tribute, and this is called taxes, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, does the government do anything?
Yes.
In this case, the government let things run normally, and if somebody
Yes.
invades, come and protect you. But they
Yes.
didn't care whether you cut your beard off, wore your hair funny.
Yes.
They
They
didn't care
didn't.
about any of those things.
They
As
didn't.
long as you didn't rob people on the king's highways and paid your tax, you're fine.
Yes.
Oh, I think they probably would have got upset if you said bad things about the king. But it's an interesting structure. It was an experiment in government. It lasted for over 200 years.
Yes.
Generally speaking, the empire was very rich and the people in it were doing quite well.
Yes.
As I said, there were particular places like revolting. Egypt really loved revolting, and it was because there was a strong ruling class in Egypt that wanted to get back to an independent Egypt. In a lot of the other countries that they conquered, the ruling class was either incorporated into the government or it was so small that when it was gone, it was gone.
Yes.
I mean, when you think about it, the province that was along the northern part of Anatolia, the eastern part, Pontus, the descendants of the old Achaemenid governors ended up being the kings of Pontus, Mithridates, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, whatever. There were a lot of Mithridates. And because they almost totally replaced the old ruling class. But there are exceptions. Halicarnassus, for instance, the kings there stayed in power for a long time. And we know a lot more about the western part of the empire simply because the Greeks wrote about it. And we've got a lot of that. We don't have all of it, but we've got a lot of it. So, you know, you have these kind of things. But this, as a sculpture, is very, very interesting. The stance, the 1 foot forward stance, is very much Egyptian, but the clothing is entirely Persian.
Entirely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and the thing that's really good, because it's 3-dimensional, it shows you that the robe was kind of rucked up on both sides to make it easy for you to walk, so that there's kind of it looks pleated, but that's not necessarily so. They've just tucked it into the belt so that there's a lot of free fabric in front of the legs, so when you're walking it's comfortable. I mean, you know, that's really hard. Yeah, it's hard. I wish there were more surviving freestanding sculptures, because obviously Egyptian workmen were really good at doing something. I mean, because this is not like any other sculpture done in Egypt up till this time.
Yes.
But it's perfectly executed, which just shows how talented they were.
We can take a look from the side, closer look, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
See how well that's done.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was mounted against a wall.
Yeah. Because of the back. Yeah, of course, you're right. Here it seems like it was cut. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right here.
So that probably was mounted up against the wall somewhere. Because, I mean, this is the great king, and his image would be an important part of the ritual going on particularly in Pasargada or Persepolis as well.
Yes. Look, Bede. Beautiful, though.
See the detail in that. I mean, that piece on the scabbard that stops the blade turning around or slipping down through the sash is highly decorated.
Yeah.
The dagger hilt is a type they've excavated. That type of hilt is quite well known.
Well known.
But even his sash where it's tied off, see the embroidery that they've replicated on the ends of the sash?
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, the detail.
Amazing.
In fact, I've never seen a photograph that was clear enough to show that detail on the knife scabbard or the sword
that's
scabbard.
why I thought I would share it here on the internet. Many viewers will appreciate it. You don't find that close. I really made a close up. Yeah. Yes. I mean, good thing is they let me get as close as I want, because normally you can't get that close, but they let me do that. Well, look at this. Beautiful, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Is there kind of like a rivet in the middle of the handle of the short sword?
I don't know. Oh, here you mean? Here? Yeah. I don't know. Bede, have you seen on many, okay, not only on them, but some of the Yemenite daggers have the same shape of handle.
Yeah.
Right?
They're what? Rhino horn daggers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. That I think this is a very good stabbing dagger shape, because it has two advantages. One, you're able to deliver a really powerful stab, and it's really easy to pull out again because it's top and bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of daggers, Holstein daggers, and those H-shaped daggers from medieval Europe and all over the world, that they come to that idea as a good design.
This one, you're going also to love it, is from the palace of Darius in Apadana, Susa, Khuzestan, Achaemenid period, Achaemenid, 510. This famous one, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Look at this. Look at his spear. Oh, I got the flashlight here. Oh, that's a pity. But this...
you can see the ball. The blade is, you can't see as much as...
Leaf shape.
Yeah. So, mainly for stabbing, but you could slash with the last part of the blade quite effectively. But if you got stabbed by it, it would make a really big hole in you. But the thing that gets me is because this is glazed brick, all the colors survive, and the patterns on the clothes.
This is a ceiling. This is a light from the ceiling. I see that now. Oh, yeah. And this has a rib. It has a mid rib in the blade of the spear.
Yeah, I remember seeing some really good photographs of these, and it's just so present. The way he's holding the spear with two hands in like parade rest, you might call it in modern military terms.
And a bow, right, resting on his shoulder, right?
Yeah. Well, this is a classic way of doing it. The bow has to be a certain size before it'll fit. It's got to be deep enough. So like the angular composite bows that were like triangles, you couldn't do that with them. But this has a deeper body, a bigger brace height.
Yes.
It still uses, if you look at the quiver, it's very long because they're using very long arrows. Whereas when you see the riders with their gorritos, the arrows can only be about that long.
Yes.
Maybe 26 inches or something like that.
Absolutely.
But then again, different uses. A man on foot finds it very easy to get a really long draw. On horseback, before stirrups, and in some cases before anything more than a padded cloth on the horse's back, you've got more things to worry about. You want to get off the shot really fast.
Not joking. Yes.
Yeah.
And now we are going to have part of stone of winged lion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at this. This is
yeah. People say that there's a strong influence of Assyrian lion sculptures. I think this is whether it was an Assyrian sculptor who did it or not doesn't really. This is how people saw lions.
This is Susa, 6th century. Look at from Achaemenid. Look at his. Look at the teeth.
Yeah, the wrinkle. Yeah, he's really angry.
Yeah.
But see, people saw lions. I mean, lions were all through the Middle East in this period. They weren't. We think of lions in Africa, and people who know there are lions in northwestern India as well. But there were lions everywhere.
Yes.
And even in Greek myths, there's the Nemean lion, which I probably mispronounced, which this was on the Greek mainland, or
Yes.
well, it was believed to be. So that might have been talking about something that happened 1,000 years earlier than this. But really, in the Middle East, you would find lions. Even
This
in
one's had this cut
medieval-
off bead, but possibly a lion, right? Possibly.
Yeah, the paws do look very much like a lion.
Yeah.
And the tail thickens towards the end, which might imply the tuft on a lion's tail, though it's hard to say.
Mm.
But yeah, there's a deep interest in animals. The detail, even the Assyrians with their gory lion hunts.
Bead.
See, it's
This one you will love it.
Yeah, that's
this is
beautiful.
a cut bead. I cannot. Big, huge, no bigger.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's huge, really huge. I don't know what happened to the rest of the statue.
We won't mention Alexander the Great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's right.
Like
Look how beautifully done. It's so impressive when you go. Your heart stops when you see the size of it. Unbelievable. Huge, huge.
Yeah, these are kind of things that you just can't. It would be so mesmerizing to see them as they originally were.
Yes.
But in a way, just little bits like this kind of capture that feeling.
We have a bronze stance. Look at 3 lions.
Oh, yeah, that's really famous too.
Yeah, very famous. Look at the lions, Bede. Beautiful. Look at the mane. They have a real mane. Look.
Yeah, and they're so expressive. You know, they're not. I'm just a lion. I want to.
Oh, how beautiful.
But I mean, just the whole concept of, you know, I am going to make a stand for a bowl. What will I do? And you come up with this. And I mean, maybe there's been dozens of predecessors to this that we don't know about because they haven't survived. But it's just so good looking.
Yes. And then so here is Xerxes, who also says a great god is Ahura Mazda, who created this earth, who created yonder heaven. This is this one, right?
Yeah.
Also, we can see it here. Yes. Khashayar Shah, exactly.
Yeah, again, I love the old Persian script. It's so easy to read. I mean, it doesn't mean you can understand it if you don't speak. There's actually quite good online resources like PDF books and that on old Persian grammar.
Yeah.
That if you were interested, you could learn in, you know, a couple of months.
Yes.
And you could just read this stuff.
Yes.
And
it's a fragment of a column. Look at this. This is also huge. If you want to understand, look at the door. It's a really big door. And look at this. Oh,
so this was right on top of the column where a big beam came across holding up the roof. And there's a head on each side. And it's kind of kneeling.
Yes.
But look at the detail. Bear in mind, this would be what, 30 or 40 feet up in the air when it was originally made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got that much detail and that much expression in it.
Yes.
Only the pigeons would see it.
Yeah, exactly. It has earrings, right? Well, yeah, the pigeons will see it clearly, right? But I love this one.
Oh, yeah, this is the king fighting a lion,
right?
Yeah.
Or you know, a small lion. But look at the dagger. Beat. Look.
Yeah. I mean, this is, and he's holding this stabbing forward, not stabbing down.
Yes. But and you see clearly the shape of the blade.
Yeah, wide, tapering to a narrow point. Quite an effective design. I mean, bear in mind when this was carved, it's most likely to have been iron,
Yeah.
all mild steel. Iron had been being worked on since about 1500 BCE,
Yeah.
but it didn't really come into its own until the 600s or 700s, 800s
And
BCE.
bead, the handle is the same design as we saw on Darius' belt.
Yeah,
You see?
yeah, and you can see why it's just as effective stabbing forwards as it is stabbing downwards.
Yeah.
So it's a really practical handle design. I'm just a bit worried he might stab himself in the back of his thigh if he's not careful.
Yes. True. And this is like main staircase, and now it comes to
Oh,
this dog. And this
that
dog bead is huge as well from Persepolis. Look
I
at the
think I
dog.
saw someone taking one of those for a walk today.
Yeah.
There's a very similar model breed.
Yes, right. I mean, I'm not familiar with breeds of, you know, what kind of
No,
breed it is, but it looks like one of those fighting dogs, right?
yeah, yeah. This would be your watchdog, and
Exactly.
yeah, and it would do damage if somebody tried to break into your house.
Look at this.
But it's such
Beautiful.
a dog. I mean, it's such a dog stance.
Yes, it is. Look at this.
You're like saying, "Are you bringing me something to eat?"
What a baby, right? Beautiful. And now here we go. Okay. You see, okay,
Oh,
again, this is not the whole column, it's only the top of it. But look at
hmm.
this lady. I mean, if you go and stand next to it, you will be here. And this
Yeah,
is only the top of it. So it's
yeah. I mean,
unbelievable.
these are incredible columns. It's so hard to get the scale. Bearing in mind, there's going to be what 10 meters of column between the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some still standing in Persepolis,
Yes.
but you can get an idea of how big they really were.
Yeah.
The problem is made of very good stone, and people over the 2.5 centuries after the fall of the city probably used to come and say, "Oh, we can use that in our new building." Take it home.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, that's what happened to the pyramids as well, except there was just so much of them and they didn't get away with it all. But yeah, but the carving is so exquisite. And
Very, very,
bear in mind, we're talking before electric lights. So this is up in the gloom, way above you.
very well.
So there's probably only certain times of the year. Like I know they had high windows around these buildings. So certain times of the year or certain times of day, the sun would shine through those windows and these would be illuminated.
Yeah.
But it must have been a magical to be in one of these big
Magic.
hallways or halls. They
Magic.
weren't hallways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another tablet. This one is made of silver.
Yeah.
This one is of gold, right? These are
They did
very
have a lot.
famous. Yeah. And then here we
Those,
come to some
oh,
Achaemenid weapons.
oh,
These are
excellent.
published in my book, but look at this. This is a long Akinakis,
Mm,
excavated from Persepolis. Look at the handle. Look at the
yeah.
blade.
Yeah, it does.
Accents,
Yep.
mace,
Some of those, yeah, some of those are the accents are so thin, they're really in the skull, right down into the center.
and
Very different.
these are
Maces as well.
arrowheads. Possibly
Yeah,
this is spearhead. I think so. Yeah, it's broken off part of it.
yeah, yeah.
Look at
Could
this
be a
bead.
spearhead. What's that?
This is a mace hat.
Oh,
Yeah. Look at these
wow.
things. Unbelievable. Look at this bead.
Mm.
This
So
is
the
beautiful.
heads are socketed three-sided arrowheads or two-sided arrowheads, depending.
Yes. They're socketed. You see that bead?
Yeah, yeah, because all of the early arrowheads in the Scythian influenced parts of Iran, like Media and Parsa and that, would have copied the Scythian style. But before that, like in the Luristan bronzes and Elamite period, they were nearly all tanged.
Mm.
And the fashion changed.
Yes.
Um,
So these
But
are
I've got,
excavated items from Persepolis, which makes them again very special.
oh yeah, because you can locate them
Yes,
historically. Oh, that
yes,
these were being used there. That's like I think they found armor scales there and all kinds of
yes,
important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You see that bead? This one,
Hmm.
this is an early version of a bull-headed mace. One of the horns
Really?
is missing. Yeah. Look
Yeah.
at this, and these are
Oh,
excavated bead. This one is number 11, bronze bull-head, Western Azerbaijan Achaemenid period. This one, excuse me, sorry. Here.
yeah. Now, yeah. See, this is it. That shows just how far that. Well, I mean, I was going to say mythology, but it's not mythology if the things are real. I
Yes,
mean, the
exactly.
story is mythological, but the things are real.
The things are real. That's,
Yeah, that's
because we have even up to from Safavid period, we have Qajar period, bull-headed maces. Even, that in Zoroastrianism, the priests, they use a bull-headed mace to initiate. But look how far back it goes.
this is it's so amazing to think
Amazing.
how deep this culture goes.
Yeah, unbelievable. And if you come here, excuse me, I just made a mistake. 10, yes. Yeah, you see that
Oh,
there are many, many, many things, these weapons. I really love that. And now here you go to these horses. These are also beautiful. Look at them.
oh
There are two of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. So the is this part of a piece of furniture or is it? It's
No
not part of a
idea,
bit.
Beat.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole problem. See, the place was burnt down and a lot of things got destroyed. We know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw when they had the big Persian exhibition in London recently.
Mhm.
An expert was talking about these. They have a little hole in the chest of the animal, and he said, "Well, the king would pick this up with his finger over it. They'd fill it up, and then he'd hold it next to his cup and take his finger off, fill the cup, put his finger back, and drink." The king didn't do that. Somebody
No.
standing next to him did that.
Of course the king didn't
He
do that.
probably he probably had to wash his finger every time he served. But this is a spectacular way of serving wine,
Yeah.
and I mean the Parthians kept using them. The Greek word for it is rhyton. Not that's not how they pronounce it, but and it in Greece they made clay copies of these and painted them and that, but they made them. Sometimes they were humorous figures and whatever.
Mm.
But it became a thing of serving wine this way. Maybe it just looked really good when somebody did it for you. What have we here?
Is it like a winged lion?
All
Yeah.
right.
But I don't know what it is. I forgot to put the in description. Sorry.
Unfortunately, because I'm looking at it on my phone, when you put this up on YouTube, I'll have a much better look at this than I do now.
Yes, that's right. This is
My
again the weapons from the other side. I love these excavated weapons here from Achaemenid period. For us, it's a very important panel, right?
oh
Yeah.
yeah, because there's so much there. I mean, I think the only thing there that is stands out as not being a weapon is the adze, which
Yes.
is almost certainly a carpenter's tool.
Yes.
But everything
Yes.
else, I mean, maces.
Oh,
And
this is
those maces,
bead. This is this pickaxe which you see on. Yeah, here. That's the
yeah,
pickaxe.
yeah,
You
that's
see on
exactly,
this? Oh God, I didn't even
yeah,
see that first. That's the
yeah.
pickaxe.
That's why I made the comment. It's much thinner than the ones in the sculptures,
That's
and
what you
in fact,
mentioned. Yeah.
most of
Yeah.
the surviving ones. But
Yeah.
it's definitely meant for use.
Yeah.
Um,
Unbelievable. Beautiful. Really
they, they,
beautiful.
they also have a kind of symbolic value to them as well,
Yes.
in the way
Absolutely.
that they're
Mm.
they're shown. Because that one looks almost like it's an arrow going through the end of the pickaxe.
Yes. That was this. I hope you enjoyed them, Beat. Beautiful.
Oh, it was absolutely magnificent. That was really good looking stuff. And it's good to see the Jiroft stuff because it hasn't had a wide enough exposure yet. I'm sure that they're rewriting textbooks all over the world about that. But the the detail. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the sculptures from Khwarezm.
Some of
They
them.
are the really early ones, like 2000 or whatever BCE, and they
No.
have that quality too. A really well executed stonework, which kind of suggests that the culture was pretty widespread in Iran up into Central Asia. That it wasn't just these few places they've excavated so far. That as they keep digging, they might find more and more.
Did I tell you last time when I was no, last time, it was not last time, actually 2 years ago, when I went not last time because I was 1 year, 2 years ago when I was in Iran, the head of National Museum of Iran wrote an article on shields and bronze shields, and then he was a head of he's an archaeologist. They led an excavation, and these shields were there. And I asked them, where were they? And he said, well, they excavated first the city. They found different walls. And in that city, they went to a house. So they kept excavating. Beautiful walls, painted, everything. Now, then they went to different rooms. And he said they were in a room. And when they were walking, remember, he said they felt they're walking on a metal piece. Said, what the hell is that? A huge bronze metal. So they tried to lift it down there. Bede, there are hundreds of weapons hidden. Not only true shields, but axes, swords, daggers. And I said, why were they hiding it? Meticulously hiding them. Really hiding them. So it's just a house. And then, the head of National Museum said, I think they were planning a mutiny. But it never materialized.
Well, it's quite possible. Smuggling weapons in the city and stockpiles. They found this all over the world where they knew that there were underground movements to overthrow governments and whatever. They find weapons caches. And in the opposite side, when people were invading and disrupting the country, they find stashes of coins or whatever, where people have hidden away their wealth, intending to come back and then either being killed or captive and taken off to another country. So, but large hidden caches of weapons aren't that commonly found. Weapons that have been sacrificed, like in Northern Europe, where they threw them into bogs, bent the swords, whatever, threw them into bogs. That's not that unusual. But finding a cache of weapons where they'd been hidden in a house.
Yes.
So it's not a religious sacrifice.
No.
It's not a building like an arsenal.
No.
It's a house.
It was a house. Yeah. It was a house next to other houses, but the only house which was hiding so many weapons. So very.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
this
might be the head of the revolutionary cell.
Exactly. Okay, Bede, thanks a lot. It was really lovely discussing these things with you. Important items of National Museum. Again, guys, if you're in Iran, go and visit. These are excavated items, which makes this museum really unique. This is very nice.
If I visit Iran, if anyone wants to find me, they'll find me in a museum. Or possibly a restaurant, because I like Persian food too.
That's right. Yes, of course. Thanks a lot, Bede. I wish you a nice day and see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.